What's happening, everybody? Today we are on location with Tony Taafe, the headshot master. We're in downtown Los Angeles at his studio, and we are about to bring the fire. Stay tuned. What's happening, everybody? Today on the Dane Carter Show, we have a very special guest. We just wrapped this incredible shoot with Tony Taafe. Literally the best headshot photographer, in our opinion, in the country. Wow. And this is our second time back at his studio. This time we were shooting and doing a podcast here. And it was fascinating for me to learn more about this particular kind of photography. Like, sure. I love photography. I, love the media business, but I didn't realize how insanely detailed headshot photography in this level is. So what made you even want to start this career? Because it's a very niche thing.
Yeah, totally. So, starting this career kind of happened a little bit by accident, happy accident. Mm-hmm. First moved to the States in 2010, and I came over to sell cars. I used to sell cars in the UK, work for high-end brands, Audi, and I actually came over I got a job at Audi in Santa Monica, and I was so over the moon when they said, we'll give you a job, we'll sponsor you for a visa, that I basically moved over on the spot, which was a little bit premature, because I didn't take into account that the visa process, the application process, is quite long. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, it took a few months after I'd been here, about 6 months or so. I was like, this visa, it hasn't come through yet, and I needed to make some money, basically. Mm-hmm. My other option, in terms of what I could legally do in the country, was a photojournalist. I'd never taken a photo in my life, but I was going to make it work.
Of course.
The initial plan was to find a way just to make some money until this visa came through, so I could start selling cars again.
Right.
But I bought a cheap camera, cheap lens, and never sold another car again.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, and I started shooting headshots, solely headshots, a few years ago, and yeah, I would not change it for the world. I wouldn't change it.
It's crazy that this is how life happens. And I tell people a lot, like, you don't always get to pick your passion. Sometimes your passion will pick you if you're open to receive that gift. Mm-hmm. I had no idea I was going to get into real estate at this crazy level that I'm in. I had no idea I was going to go into media at this but what I've always been willing to do is be open to receive these gifts. Like, I don't know where they're coming from or when, but I always go where the light is. Like, yeah. So if something's really hard and it's a pain that's going in the wrong direction for a long time, I'm probably on the wrong path. Sure. So yeah. I try to stay where the light is. And it's just, so the first time that we were here with Tony, I've never seen somebody work with that level of efficiency and perfection in like 35 minutes. I mean, it was amazing. And there's a ton of prep that goes on beforehand. There's a ton of lighting that gets set up. But the way Tony works, especially because he has very high-end clientele, and their schedules are rigorous. They're crazy. Yeah. So if you're not maximizing every second of when you're with them, they're probably not going to hire you again.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we were here filming for a client, and I was so impressed with how everything flowed and how he went through 3 different individuals, nailed these like world-class shots, and was like, okay, cool, that's it. And I'm like, it blew me away. So there's a lot of years that go into that level of perfection and that level of knowing what to do. And it's so important with the eyes and the jawline and the shadowing. Like, so can you walk us through, like, maybe some of your first steps and how you bridge the gap in being new and kind of going to like the medium part of your career and then to be an advanced professional, because everybody sucks in the beginning. And we talk about it a lot in this podcast. I don't care if you're like the best athlete in the world or the top photographer. When you started, you had a cheap camera and a cheap lens.
Totally, yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's practice, right? And determination and focus and you know, all those cliche things that are just true.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I look back now. I look back at some of the stuff I was shooting a couple of years ago, and I'm like, wow, this is just night and day stuff, you know. But certainly from the beginning, it was a journey, you know. It was. I think with you know, art, you know, and I still struggle to call myself an artist, even though, you know, I suppose I am.
He's an amazing artist. I'll do it for him.
You know, it's frustrating because, you know, you're aware of how good you are or not, and then you maybe get an inflated sense of how good you are, and then somebody who, if you find the right mentor, and I did in Peter Hurley, you've seen you've seen the videos of Peter. I find the right mentor in him who will slap you down, you know, when you think you're better than you are.
Good.
And say, look, this is the only way to improve, is to have your work constantly critiqued, no matter how good you think it is, no matter which level you think you've gotten to. You need somebody who will not inflate your ego, not tell you you're better than you are. You know, and if you have that self-motivation, if you've got someone like that, then you will just constantly want to be better, you know, and you'll have an honest opinion. So that, I think that was my path, I suppose you call it, was finding a good mentor and just wanting to be better, you know, like we've just done a session with you. The next session, I want to be better, you know, it doesn't stop. It never stops. And
that is the key to success. We just filmed and he's already trying to become better. And a huge piece of my message, and you guys have heard this a lot, is I just want to be a better man and a better business everything than I was yesterday. Yep. Like that's my constant goal. And you hit the nail on the head as you found the right mentor. Yeah, so totally. Many of these mentors and online, whatever, coaches, whatever, they want your money.
They want your money. Yeah.
They want to take your money. They want to give you some crap, but they're not going to hold you to the standard that you need to grow and expand as an artist, as a professional. And you found that in Peter. Yeah. Because that was the level that he held him, and he probably has a mentor as well. Correct. I mean, everybody has somebody that's holding them to a higher standard if you're willing to learn. Yep. The problem most artists, all the entrepreneurs, everybody gets in is they get to a level, they think they're the greatest, and they get surrounded by yes and no men and women. And they tell them they're the greatest, they're the greatest, they're the greatest. And that's where like it's catastrophic usually.
It is, yeah.
Because you get a false sense of everything. Mm-hmm. And critiquing your work as an artist is difficult. And it can be like a dark, lonely place to get to. So it's important to have a mentor that can actually say, look, you're on the right path, but this is the only way to actually grow and expand. What was the shift for you? Like, was it it's always hard for me to kind of frame this question, but where was the shift that took place? Was it like a shoot and you saw a photo and you're like, I got this. Like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, and I'm actually pretty good at this. Yeah, actually, I've never thought of that before. But when you asked the question, there was a shoot, and it was in Scottsdale, Arizona, where I have a studio, and it was. I just remember having the most fun. And it was with an actress, and she was amazing. She was, you know, she had the right personality, and the shoot went amazing, and she was bowled over by these shots. And I was looking at it, I was like, really? Like, you think they're really good? And it was, you know, it was a really cool moment, and the shots were good, you know. But it was less to do with how good the shots are, and more to do with how I think I made her feel during the session. So true. It was just fun, and she was having the time of her life, and I from then on I was like, you know what, if I can make everybody feel even 50% of what I know, that, you know, if everybody else has as much a good time as what she did, and they leave and they've got this amazing product, I'm good.
I'm set. Like, I'm treating them well. They're loving it. They're leaving the door with a great product, and that's what I try and give to every single person is, people are terrified to get the headshots taken. They just are. But the amount of times that the joke, I thought this would be like coming to the dentist, but it was actually quite fun.
Yeah, of course.
As they're walking out the door,
Well, it's just crazy because it speaks to you as a person. Like, it's not just about the money. It's not just about this product. It's how do you make the client feel in that moment, because you're trying to capture a very intimate thing from them that's going to go out to the world and be criticized.
Yeah,
like
close up of your face.
It doesn't get any more scary.
Than that,
Right. It's like headshots and public speaking are like the top fears.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy that the super successful people, it's usually not just about the money. They have a genuine connection to their art. And that's what you were trying to portray. I want somebody to leave and have a good time, like it's not the dentist, because then you're both having fun. Yeah. And then it becomes this bond and this amazing experience that you get to share. I just got to feel it was awesome, and we got to work together. What's fascinating to me is the millimeter tweaks, the quarter inch of the lighting here. Yeah. It's fascinating to me. And you can really tell who's a professional and who's not, because I started to look and watch and was like, wow, there's a very big difference.
Yeah, there is. It reshapes the face. So, a quarter inch turn of the light, the shadow drops on a different side of the face. There's different things like that to take into account. The shadow of the nose, because everyone's nose is shaped differently, obviously. And it reshapes the face. You can make somebody look very bad very easily if you misplace a light. You showed me, it was this gentleman in a suit last time I was here, and this blew me away. And if I can find the clip, I'm going to drop the clip into the video. It was a clip of the guy's headshot before he came to you, and then after. Yeah. It looked like a different human being. It looked like a different guy, and that before shot was taken a few weeks before. It wasn't even an old headshot.
Oh, he looked like 10 years older, and he looked like he was at least 40 pounds heavier.
Yeah, well, what they did I think they got, I don't know who shot it, but I used a different angle of the face. The light was different, and there was a few differences, but they weren't huge, except for the outcome was a lot different.
It was massive, and I was blown away. And I love this kind of stuff. Like, I've always been fascinated with photography, and I've always been fascinated to be around people that are doing what they're kind of called to do and doing what they love to do. I like that. I don't care if it's playing the piano. I don't care if whatever it is, to be around people that are in what they're trying to master. They're in the level of mastery. It's amazing to watch, and it's infectious, and I just want to learn more.
Totally. It's infectious. I try and, a couple of years ago, around about the time when, I had that shoot actually that I mentioned earlier, I really got into, Bob Proctor, right? The positivity aspect and the optimism, all that kind
Optimism
of stuff.
is huge.
It's huge, and I love it. I lived my life, but I didn't always, obviously. But since I started doing that and really made a commitment to, just try and get every single inch out of life that you can get, and I try and surround myself with my friends. There's there's a handful of photographers who I know who, we're all really good friends, and we're constantly trying to, push each other further and, help each other out in any way we can, whether it be, good job on that, or, it's huge. And so, to be around those type of people is everything, because if you have the opposite of that, you're in trouble.
It's like cancer.
It is,
like,
yeah.
It is so important to have those 5 or 6 or 7 people that are closest to you be able to tell you the truth.
Yeah, totally.
Like the truth. Unapologetically.
Yeah.
And it's important to grow as a person, as a man, and as an artist or whatever you're doing, to have that level of somebody who just loves you so much they want you to be better. And it's okay if you don't actually like what they say, but at least you get to process it.
Totally. Yeah. And, you shouldn't like everything they say.
No.
That's not a real friendship. That's not a real relationship even. You have to be self-aware enough to take on board criticism, critique, whatever you want to call it, and not take it personally, and use it as a springboard to be better.
It's the only way to grow.
It's the only way.
I don't learn anything from my wins except for that it feels good.
It feels good, yeah.
But that's
Which
it.
Is nice,
that's
but
great.
You're not growing, right?
I'm never going to grow. All my losses, all my like huge punches in the face in life have always been a springboard for massive growth.
Totally.
Because I get that real data.
Yeah.
I get that pushback of like, you probably shouldn't have gone in this direction.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. But now I've learned, and now I can pivot and course correct. And I use those for a lot of different areas in my life. You know, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a businessman, but like I have to use those things. Same thing with working out. You can't go to the gym and do 20 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, and these squats and expect these lifetime of results doing the same things.
Totally.
You have to constantly be changing and growing and staying around people that don't just tell you yes and you're the greatest, I think is a very, very huge part of that.
Me too. Yeah, totally agree. You know, going back to the working out thing, you know, every time you leave the gym, you should feel a bit sore. If you're doing the same thing today than what you were doing 3 years ago,
you're just checking a box.
There's no growing. You know, you're flatline, and for me, if you're flatline and you it's worse than going back because you're going nowhere. You know, you're not even learning a lesson by falling backwards. You're going nowhere.
That's the kiss of death for me. Like, those are some of my biggest fears, is to blink and a whole year's gone by and I haven't really, like, nothing's really changed. Yeah. Even at home with my kids or with my wife, like, we're still fighting about the same stuff. That's a problem.
Yes, sure, yeah.
I need to address this now.
You need to be fighting about something different.
That's right. We can fight. We're always going to fight. But fight about something different at least. And that's the way to grow as like a business partner, or as it's just, I love to introduce myself to a new version of myself over and over. This is a perfect example. I didn't know anything about podcasting or do any of this stuff. It took me a year to even launch my first one because of my own fears. Like, what if no one's going to like it? Yeah. What if it doesn't work? I what if'd myself for a year, and then I sat down, I figured it out, I put it out, took off.
And now, you know, it's great.
Now it's great. I've had 2 podcasts in the top 100 of iTunes, and I'm not slowing down anytime soon because I like it, because it's my truth, because I like to share and help others through my journey. And that's why I'm sitting here with you. If you are not taking control of your branding, your personal branding and your marketing, if you own a company or your presence that's going out online, you're going backwards like we were just talking about.
Totally, yeah.
Your social cred or credibility for when you're trying to go get a job, when you're trying to get into college, when you're trying to do whatever, they're going to drop you into Google and look you up.
They better have, otherwise they're not doing it right.
That's right. So to have a proper headshot, to have a proper photo of your face, I think is really important.
It's huge, yeah. Like you say, you know, anybody who is worth working for, anybody who is worth collaborating with, anybody, they're gonna be clued up enough to know that they can search you online and find out so much more than what we actually think they can find.
You're absolutely right, and it's getting more every year.
It is, yeah. I mean, I'm a photographer. I'm behind the camera, but I'm very much aware that I have a personal brand that I need to, figure out. I need to make sure it's right. 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, I wouldn't have had to really worry about that. It's only the people in front of the camera who would act as, celebrities, all that kind of stuff. But now, everyone has their personal brand. Everybody who has an online presence, which is everyone. Everybody has a Facebook account. Everybody has a Facebook. Instagram, exactly. Twitter, YouTube. And you have to be willing to invest in yourself. You have to be willing to invest in the quality that you want to live online. And that's a big part of what you do is you pull out the best of somebody and then it gets to live online. So that's an opportunity for them. Yeah. And it's a massive tool to help people. Totally. And it's, yeah. I mean, I started a hashtag on some of my Instagram posts, and it's on my website. And it's no more lazy headshots. And the premise behind it is that, is the investing in yourself.
You have to.
You have to put an effort into your personal brand, and you have to You know, and that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, financially, although that is obviously a part of it.
Mhm.
You need to put some thought into it. You know, who do you want to be, you know, to these people who have no idea who you are? What do you want to put out there to people who don't know you?
Mhm.
And you know, your headshot, for example, you take this one headshot, you put it online. This headshot should be working for you. It should be
While you
almost
sleep.
while you sleep.
That's right.
Every single time somebody clicks on your profile, you don't even know they're there, but this headshot is putting work in for you. It's representing you. It's another version of you out there, you know, and it's the version that most people will make assumptions of your character on as well.
And it's
you know?
instantaneous by just them seeing your face.
Mhm.
That's, I mean, speaks 1,000 words as like you know, says. It's so important. And the subconscious decision that person is making solely based on the look of your face
Totally.
is massive.
It's huge. I think I read something, I think it was Cornell University. It was less than a second from somebody seeing a photograph of you who doesn't know you. They will make an assumption on your whole character.
Absolutely.
In less than a second. They don't know they're doing it. It's all subconscious. But as we all know,
I'm guilty of it too. I do the same thing.
We all do. We don't even realize we're doing it.
Of course.
You know? And once our minds are made up on something, once we've made the decision, especially if we don't know we're making the decision, it's really difficult to get us to change our mind. You know, our opinion of somebody or our opinion of something, it's much more difficult to change from a negative to a positive,
of course,
than what it is from a positive to a negative.
100% agree.
Yeah.
It's such a great point, Tony. Like it's true.
Yeah.
I'm very guilty of it, and I've actually been able to track this. And it's interesting because there are people that I'll see, and I'm like, oh, that guy's a whatever. That guy's a like. I'll just make up something before I know anything about them. 9 times out of 10. That person is very similar to me.
Yeah.
And I have a crazy connection with them some way, but I find out later.
But you find out later, right?
So I know that same thing is happening to me,
Yeah.
probably by that exact same thing. Like they see me, like just whatever, my, like, you know, self, my face, my tattoos. They make these
an Instagram story up, right? About, was you in an antique store or something?
Oh,
and the
yeah.
lady was rude.
She literally would not show me something that was, I think, $500 or $600, and I go, oh, I don't care. She assumed I didn't have any money. I'm like, listen, miss, I could buy your whole store. But she instantly made that assumption. And I'm trying as hard as I can to put that out there because of my own insecurities from years ago. I wore suits every day and covered up my tattoos because I wanted to be taken seriously as a businessman. Not knowing that most people don't really care anymore. So once I was able to move into my full integrity of myself, I don't care. My favorite thing to wear is slacks, a nice shirt, a vest with my sleeves rolled up.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of my uniform when I go on stage, whatever I'm doing, because it shows who I truly am. I'm not hiding a thing.
Sure.
I'm just fully open. If you could talk to the person who's maybe on the fence about, you know, kind of going all in on their brand and all in on their personal everything, and they're really not sure if they should spend the money, you know, maybe kind of walk that person through why it's so important. And you touched on it before, but just because there's people out there that don't fully understand why this particular level of art is so important to their brand.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a choice anymore. Really.
I agree.
I think it's inevitable that, like we said, if you have an online presence, and we all have an online presence, you have to be in control of it. So I you know, it's inevitable. So, you know, sitting on the fence or not being sure is fine, but the longer you sit on that fence, you're just prolonging.
You're losing
what you're going to have to do eventually anyway, which is take control of your brand and you know, finding the right person to take care of this for you. Like you were saying earlier, you know, the tiny little movements in light or face angles or, you know, all that kind of stuff. I don't think it's incredibly common for headshot photographers to be aware of that.
It's not.
You know, I mean, there's a lot who are, but there's a lot of headshot photographers. There's a lot of photographers who do headshots, and you know, what I would recommend is to find someone, you know, who's a specialist for a start. You know, you don't call a plumber to fix your roof.
That's right.
You know, find somebody who really has invested in that speciality, and who you get on with, and you know, make the jump, because you're going to have to do it anyway. Just don't be playing catch up on everybody in 12 months time when you're really one of the only people who haven't done this yet, and then you're behind, you know, you've missed 12 months of opportunity, maybe, you know, because somebody's made the wrong assumption of you.
Absolutely. And that's a huge piece of the puzzle. And you said control twice, and it's really important. I really want you guys to hear that, is taking control of your brand, taking control of your online presence, taking control of what other people are going to see, and that's going to be their perception of you. Mm-hmm. It's inevitable. You are going to have to do this at some point, and you might as well hire the best.
Totally, yeah. You like with everything else you do in your life, you know, you hire the best you can, you know, and this is so important. It really is so important.
I mean, I had no idea it was this important until about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And my first shoot was like a lifestyle kind of shoot. I was trying to get content for my website. I was trying to do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
We tried to like jam in a quote unquote headshot shoot. We didn't have the right backdrop, didn't have anything. We literally held like a black t-shirt behind my head in my office and tried to get like a shot with this lighting. And it was great because I didn't know any different. Fast forward 2 years, it looks like a second grader did it, even though it wasn't. He was an awesome photographer, but he didn't specialize in headshots.
Exactly.
He was a lifestyle photographer,
Totally,
and he's incredible. And if he's listening, you're the man. I love you. But like, you need to hire a specialist, someone who's mastering their craft at that.
Yeah, totally. And you know, I would not call myself a lifestyle photographer or a landscape photographer, or I wouldn't even attempt it.
Right.
You know, because it's not what I'm good at, and I do get calls that, you know, from people who say, you know, it's me and my wife's anniversary, or, you know, we want to do a family portrait or something like that, and I'll recommend somebody else to them, because I don't want to give them a substandard product.
And that's exactly what you did the last time we were here. And it was crazy for me because you stayed in your lane in such a gentle way. It was either you were on the phone, or it may have even been the client was saying that exact same thing, is they were trying to hire you to do something with, I think, his wife and child. And you're like, hey, you know what? I just don't do that, but I have an amazing person that does.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
And like, that is the level of professionalism and the level of quality that speaks to your work at such a high level. Most people would take that job.
Totally,
and make a few $1,000s, of course, and you're good. But that's not what you specialize in. And you had so much respect for the client that you did not want to give them a substandard product, even though you could probably do it. They would never know. It's going to be amazing.
Totally,
but you would know.
Yeah, I would know, and I would know somebody else could do it better.
Right.
And I don't want a big part of my business is that, you know, somebody will see the headshot, someone will see the, you know, and they'll ask them, where did you get it? You know, and then it's a referral, you know. Of
course.
It's huge. I just don't want anyone to see anything that's not, as, you know, up to that standard, whether that be a headshot or anything else. I just don't want to put anything else out there.
Well, it speaks to your level of everything, because most people won't do that.
Sure. Yeah.
And so and everybody listening here, if you need to go get some headshots, or you're thinking about getting some headshots, you have to look this guy up. You can follow him on Instagram. I'm going to have him give all of his different handles here in a second, and you can look up his website. But where can everybody find you and start to follow your journey? And we were talking about Instagram before we started filming, and he's going to start doing more stories we talked about too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to push him into it.
I need to be better.
So where can all of these viewers and listeners find you?
So my main place is Instagram. It's Tony Taafe Photo. Taafe is bizarrely spelled Taafe Photo. And my website is tonytaafe.com. That'll be the two main places. And if, you know, anybody's got any questions or needs anything, just let me know.
You can so you can reach out to Tony, and if for some reason you can't find Tony, reach out to me, and I'll just forward him off the information, and we'll keep everything going. He is a true professional. This was an honor for me today. Thank you so much, my man.
Thanks a lot.
It was awesome, and until next time. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, man. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys soon.